Welcome back to another episode of Spiels and Feels. My mic was muted. I am Repent MF, and today I am joined with ZeroBlaze. You want to introduce yourself? Hey.
Hello, yeah, I'm ZeroBlaze. I go by BK, but ZeroBlaze is my gamer tag, and I'm just happy to be here and just get to catch up and everything like that.
Yeah. So we have known each other since high school,
Oh
and
my
I think that is really, really cool and really, really crazy because it's just been a long time.
that like we're kind of aging a little bit. We were just saying like our 10-year reunion was last year. We both missed it, but like it's just kind of crazy to think about that it's been that long. Like,
Absolutely. It's been a journey for sure. Wow, is that actually 10 years?
yeah, because we graduated 2013. Like, dude, I
Oh.
even saying that out loud hurts to think about. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it does a little bit just because I don't know. Thinking back to high school, it feels like a different lifetime. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Like I'm just like, oh yeah, high school, and then there was college, and then there was grad school, and then there was work, and I'm like, that did that happen in the same like or anything like that? It feels like it was like a pipe dream at this point. Like it's strange.
Have all of these been different lifetimes actually?
I keep having these dreams, like, oh my goodness, yeah, like that's how it feels.
Is any of this for real or not?
Honestly, that's yeah, it's just it's so far back, and I'm like, wow, that's I guess that's just part of growing up and adulting at this point. But like, it just it's I guess it should feel like that because it means we've progressed in life and everything. But if it still felt like too familiar, I think we haven't moved on properly. So.
Yeah, there is like a sense of progression as you get older, and it some of it feels bad, like your body falling apart or you forgetting things, but it's
Hmm.
also looking at where you started and where you are now for sure. In
Yeah.
that same vein, how have your last 7 been?
Last seven, like the past week, roughly. Well, to be honest, half of it I've been spamming like that. This one new game that came out, Zenless Zone Zero. Just kind of been playing a bit too much of that, so that's been kind of fun. um, But I mean, like I said, we both celebrated birthdays recently, so happy birthday to both of us. But it's kind of just reflecting in like, oh, this is my quote unquote last year of youth. And people always say like your life really starts in the 30s, and I'm like, I feel like I'm kind of living right now, knock on wood. So it's nice. So that's cool with it. But the last seven, if I go like the last 7 days or last month, like it's been a mixture of Endless Zone, celebrating a birthday. I've been playing Paper Mario,
Oh,
1000 Year Door because like that dude, it's so strange because I played it in I told my friends when I was a single digit age, so like either 9 or 8 or something like that, because I know which house I was in at the time. But like I don't remember the game like at all. The only thing I remember is like the pit of 100 trials and something crazy being at the end or something like that. So like I'm playing through it and I think I've gotten what 1, 2, 3. I think I've gotten 4 crystal stars. And like with each one, I'm like, I don't remember this happening, but I vaguely like it feels nostalgic, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's weird, but it's so cool at the same time. But I've been loving the game, man. It's kind of been my break from VGC, which is what I'm doing the rest of the time when I'm not gaming, because that's been all I've been gaming for the last like year, I'd say, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like you've been pretty busy. Um Zenless Zone, I saw it was so funny. I saw that on your Discord, like it'll show like uh
Oh, it's snitching, yeah.
yeah, Zero Blaze is playing this game, and I had no idea what it was, and then I looked it up today actually, and I was like, "Oh, it's this one. I've seen the videos of it. Yep. It looks
Yeah.
pretty fun."
It's pretty fun. And the funny thing is, I completely forgot about its existence until this week because one of my friends showed it to me like, was it 2023 or like late 2022 when they showed it off? And I was like, oh, this looks cool. And they just forgot about it. And I'm like, that's the best way to do it because I don't feel like waiting, like, day in, day out, just waiting for this game to come out. So now that it's here, it's really fun. So I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, that you don't want to have and it's crazy that we can use it as like a verb now.
Oh
It's like you
no.
don't
Oh
want
no. Kingdom Hearts 3. Oh, I knew as soon as you said, I'm like, no, don't do it because yeah, we can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want a Kingdom Hearts 3 situation.
Kingdom Hearts 3, I think Silk Song is also that kind of deal, like Hollow Knight Silk Song. It's you don't want that situation.
I'm
Um
not really too familiar with the Hollow Knight Silk Song one, but I have heard some friends talk about they're waiting for one. So like, how long has that been exactly?
I think well, I don't know the day, of course, but I think it's been 6 years. Because I think Hollow Knight came out in 2015 or 2016. No, wait. I don't remember. Actually, I'm just spreading misinformation.
Uh-oh.
But it's been a long time. It might not be as long as Kingdom Hearts 3. But Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, that's awesome too. Um I've been playing it as well. For me, it's like I remember all the story beats, but it's kind of the same thing where it's like I remember it feels like a fugue state when I re-experience it because it's like I know these story beats, but I don't remember it like the
And you're
dialogue being exactly
and,
like this.
and you're better than I am because I don't remember the story beats. Like, I don't know if people are going to be planning to play it, but like slight spoilers, I guess. Like after the third one, I think the yellow star, when like it spawns somebody, I was like, I don't remember that happening at all, and I'm like, what is going on? So like, I've been loving that, to be honest.
Yeah. It's definitely a story focused game. I love that game so much.
So good. It's so good.
Let's see. So you said that you've been taking a break, not taking a break. When you're not doing VGC stuff, this is what you're doing: Zenless Zone, Paper Mario. Um, before we get into VGC, I kind of want to lead into it if we can. What do you do for me? I am a copier technician. People that work on copiers call into me when they don't know what to do, and I tell them how to fix the issue. And that is like I can describe my job in like one sentence. I would like you to much more detailed describe your job. Like what do you do? What do you do for a living? 'Cause
Okay,
have
so
not caught up.
yeah, I was about to say if you want me to describe it in one line, I shouldn't do that for internet purposes. But so I work in pharmacy. Well, I'm a pharmacist. Um, so my one line would be like, I sell drugs because it is true, but you know, but that's the gist of my job. I'm more on the retail side at the moment, so it's just your standard retail pharmacist. I know like from the outside looking in, it does not look like to the standard person that a lot of stuff is going on behind the counter. I promise you, like half the time we're just trying to stay above water.
Mm.
So like it's the main thing is we're trying to dispense your prescriptions, make sure that they're correct, and make sure they're safe for you, and we're doing that with like a bajillion different people at the same time. So, next time you go to a pharmacy and they tell you it's going to be, it's not just going to be like 15 minutes, maybe a couple hours. There's a reason for that. We're not just saying that just to slack off or whatever. There's actually a lot going on that we're trying to keep up with, all while the phones ring endlessly. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So before I worked as help desk, I actually was one of the people that worked on copiers. So I've actually been in pharmacies before. So I see some of the behind the scenes
hmm
and
hmm
it seems incredibly hectic. It seems like you have no downtime ever.
It depends. Well, I'm gonna just no downtime and never, to be honest. It depends on the day, and even when you think you do, don't say it out loud because you'll just jinx everything for the day. Like it's horrible for that reason. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know if were you going. Did you happen to experience going into any of them around the time of the pandemic or anything like that?
Yeah, that was right around when I stopped being a field technician. So right after the pandemic ended, like right around 2021, I got my new job.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. That's just the pandemic was the worst, like the worst time in the pharmacy, to be honest. Like it was. Well, I mean, that's not just the pharmacy, like all of healthcare. It
Hmm.
was just. It was a different kind of stress that I don't think I've experienced before. So like the fact that I'm still here, like, well, the fact that I'm still at the job is kind of semi miraculous. I guess is the best term for it.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine it being more than stressful. What what specifically do you think? I guess it has to be. I don't even need to ask that question. um, was it because of people coming in and they had to get tests or something, or what made it more stressful?
So the thing that made it stressful at the time, because like, okay, so I graduated. Oh my god, it's been like 4 years now. But no, so I graduated grad school like 4 years ago, and like that's when the pandemic actually was going. But like I didn't really start working until like later in the year when I actually got licensed and everything. And like at that time, I mean, like adjusting to everything was one thing, and that was whatever. It was honestly the worst of the times when the vaccines came. As
Mm.
bad as that's as weird as that sounds, but like when the vaccines hit the pharmacy, there was like the vaccine push was kind of crazy. And it was also a time where like a lot of people like because of the stress were also leaving. So it's like you already put like in a pressure cooker a really stressful time and then combine it on top of the fact that you didn't have enough people to help you like administer these to the public, and it got kind of bad, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mean to. I hope it's not an issue
Oh,
to try
no,
and
no, 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 no.
relive that, but
We got past the nightmare portion like years ago. We're good.
okay.
We're fine. So, yeah, but no, like is it something I would actually go back to? No. Like I would probably quit my job before it went back to that, to be honest, because it was just stressful. Like I mean, everyone was going through it together, but it was bad. That just that's the base for it. But
Yeah.
God bless we made it through, so it's all good.
Truly, truly, God bless. So in that case, tell me how you got to VGC, because I don't know. I did know a little bit because I follow you on Twitter. I did know a little bit about the pharmacy work. I didn't know the entire story. I didn't. Congrats on grad school. Congrats on everything. That's so awesome.
Awesome.
But how do you transition from pharmacy to VGC? Because this part I don't know. I just one day
Okay.
saw you on Twitter, and you start talking up VGC. You start talking about Pokemon. I'm like, oh snap! This is awesome.
Yeah. So God, how did I even start? So the most recent like games on the Switch, like Scarlet and Violet era and everything like that. That's kind of where I started because like I think my only exposure to VGC, if I just go from the very beginning, was like again around the pandemic. Actually, now I think about it, actually around that time when we first shut down. Um, the most common name probably in VGC is like Wolfie. It's like Wolf Glick and everything like that. Like I don't know how I stumbled upon his content, but I'm like being into Pokemon for like God knows how long. I think it just popped on YouTube, and so like watching his stuff was pretty fun and everything like that. And I believe it was a tournament that him and A Drive hosted in 2020. It was like some kind of like I don't know if it was a charity event or something along those lines, just to kind of get people to play and everything since we were all stuck inside, and that was really cool. I think I went like 3-5 though, but that was like my first experience like ever playing the game, which was pretty fun. Um, but then for some reason I forgot about it for like God knows how many years. I don't know why, because I really love playing Pokemon. Um, so when Scarlet and Violet came out, of course, I was super hyped for that, and I think I started watching like the official like broadcast or something, and I want to say someone mentioned something about like looking up your local scene because I don't know how I stumbled across it. Um, all I know, well, I guess let me ask: do you still live in like the same like in the same area like where we like graduated and everything like that?
Yeah.
Roughly. Okay.
Roughly, I'd say like
Okay.
within 10 miles. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Are you familiar with like card shops and everything in the area and stuff
yeah,
like that?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I found out that like they were having a tournament at one of the card shops, and like mom, my roommate, shout out to them. They play TCGs much more than I do. Like they got me onto Yu-Gi-Oh at some point. That was my first experience. And then when I got into VGC, they went against the Digimon TCG. So we frequent those places like pretty consistently. So they're like, oh, there's gonna be like a event on this like Saturday in January, right? And I remember like the week before it went live, I went to ask them like when we were there. I'm like, hey, do you guys know anything about this event that's happening? And they were like, we have no idea. Like they just hosted, and I'm like, oh, so it's not happening. Gotcha, cool, whatever, right?
No.
Um, so like the Friday, the Saturday rolls around, and like I remember because I didn't have a full in-game team, or like not an in-game team, like a competitive team or something like that. So like I had 3 Mons and I borrowed 3 from my friend Luis. Shout out to him also. Um, and like I called the store. I'm like, this isn't happening. I called them like, hey, like, is there a Pokemon tournament kind of happening like today or anything like that? They're like, yeah, we got a couple people gathering. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll go to that. It ended up being like 33 people, which is kind of
Oh,
big. Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, this is kind of great. So that's kind of where I got my start for it. I met a lot of awesome people that day, and it's just kind of been growing from there. Um, that wasn't an official local because again COVID, because this was what 2023. Yeah, it was 2023. So they were just hosting like locals to kind of just get people to play and everything. So when they actually announced that like the point system locals were coming back in May, then it kind of just like went full force and everything. Um, so it was a mixture of like the new game coming out and then like actually just being able to stumble across that scene. And then I just started meeting a lot of people that that's probably where you see like 90% of my tweets go or come from is VGC. Um, so I've really only been playing since like last year, and I just finished my first like full season like this past year and everything like that.
That is so awesome to hear. It's like it sounds very organic. I think a lot of people that I know don't get into it via just like a local scene. I think they try and go straight for the top sometimes, and that's not always the best way to do it.
Yeah, I honestly, I mean, I've been to a lot of events. Oh my God, I've been to a lot of major events now, but last year, January, I kept going to locals up until like, what was it? The first big tournament I went to was like the International Championship for North America, so NAIC, and it was in like July, so like last year, that was my first big event. And dude, that was an experience. Oh my goodness, like they really put their heart and souls into international competitions in terms of like how they display things and like just the grandioseness of it and everything. It's super cool. Um, but no, I honestly I think I was a little scared to go to my first major. So I kind of put it I think I put it back a little bit because I remember after one of the locals, I was talking to my friend Bruno. Shout out to him too. He's the homie and everything. Um and I was kind of asking him like questions about like regionals and everything. And he was like, "Yeah, it's like it's cool and everything, but the one thing that stuck with me that he told me, he was like, it is very addictive. Once you start, you're not gonna want to stop." And I'm like, "Okay, that's whatever, dude." He wasn't lying. Like I've been to so many, and they're like honestly, it's a mixture of like it's for the game and it's the game you love and everything. But like, dude, you start meeting a lot of people, and like when you have friends from out of state and everything, like, oh, you're going to this major, okay, cool, I'll see you there. So it just becomes like friendship reunions and stuff like that, and so like it's just a really nice community, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I hear a lot of good things about Pokemon VGC. Um, I come from a Smash background, so a lot of what you're saying is very familiar. But something that we don't really have, we tried to have pre-COVID, and then it all kind of fell apart. Is the point-based locals like? Are you saying so? Like you gain points at a local, and then it translates to like being able to go to a major, or like qualify for a major? Is that?
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so you can go to any major. Like you don't have to qualify for majors. The only thing you have to qualify for is the world championship.
Mm,
So the points that you get at like locals and regionals and internats are all to qualify for the world championship. And so that's why I say that this past year is my first official year because that was my first attempt of actually trying to qualify for the world championship.
okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit foreign for me, but that does make sense. We've tried to have something like that before, but we don't get
Uh,
the same dev support.
oh no, yeah.
Yeah,
Nintendo is Nintendo.
that's the best way to say it. Nintendo is Nintendo.
Nintendo is Nintendo, and like I mean, hey, if it makes you guys feel better, from what little knowledge I know about VGC in the past, like they didn't quite, you know, TPCI is TPCI. They didn't quite, I guess, what's I'm looking for, support it like the way they do now. Like I think if you go look if through YouTube channels, you can see that like there was a very specific YouTube channel. I believe it was Nugget Bridge. Yeah, they were posting a lot of like the DS era Pokemon stuff. And I think it was when we hit the Nintendo Switches when they were like, okay, hold on, we're gonna start taking like broadcasting this a bit more seriously. I could be wrong on that timeline. It might have been a bit earlier, to be honest. But that's just where I see the major shift. And like, okay, we got the casters, the production, and everything is like really ramping up and everything like that.
That's good. That's good to hear though, because like I know it's a little hard to swallow, but like for it's just Smash for me is very similar. They kind of started cracking down. Nintendo did on if you can broadcast a certain number. Like if you have more than I think 64 participants or something like
Yes,
that. Yeah, you
I
have to
remember hearing
get
about that.
broadcasting rights. Yep.
Yeah, because we were like, is this gonna affect VGC, like the grassroots tours? We were starting to get concerned about that too. We were like, oh boy. So like, is that's still in effect and everything, or like how are they actually um
Yeah,
they're
that went.
actually it?
Yeah, I think they enforce it. I think it went into effect in 2023, near the end of 2023. But for y'all, for us, it hasn't really affected locals. Has it affected locals for y'all? No. Okay,
No, we
that's
we
good.
were more worried about like online scene where because like if I pull up a quick example or whatever, like for grassroots tours online, like you said, what 64, right?
I think it's 64. It's between 32 and 64, I think.
Okay. So prime example, like I just pulled up like the tournament page for like grassroots tours and everything. There's a tournament going on right now that has 87 people.
Mm,
So it's like we weren't sure how that was actually gonna like affect stuff and everything like that.
yeah, I think it really depends on how much traction it gets, like press-wise too.
That makes
Um,
sense.
but Nintendo, I'm gonna start using that. I think that's a really good
Nintendo's Nintendo.
Nintendo's my Nintendo.
Dude, like they're gonna drop a direct on a random Tuesday afternoon or morning, and that's exactly how they do it. Like Nintendo's Nintendo.
Yeah. They make it a little bit hard, but we do what we can, right?
Absolutely. I know I got my gripes and like I wish they would like and it's funny to say, it's like I wish they would take some modernization, but not all of it, because part of them not being fully modernized, I think that's what kind of gives to their charm of like what they're still, aiming to do and everything like that. So it's like I feel like me saying that is I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too. So I guess I kind of just have to, play with what I get for now and just Nintendo's Nintendo and they're doing what they do and they still make the games that I enjoy playing. It's just how they do it sometimes. I'm like, oh lord.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because it, it would be easier if there were some kind of like incentivization to actually work with them. But most of the time, when we work with them, it just kind of slows down processing tournaments or giving out prize pools for tournaments or things like that. But how have you found? There's one part that I want to go back to probably towards the end of the stream. I have to write it down.
No worries.
Okay, so uh, how do you prepare for locals and you keep your focus and dedication? Because for me, that's the hardest part. It is so difficult for me to practice tech skill, to practice matchups, knowledge checks.
It's funny you mention it this time because like when I say like I have been on a break after like our most recent like major because the next tournament is Worlds and I unfortunately was a little short for getting there, so like I've been on like a massive break, so that's ironic with that. But how I was prepping for stuff, it it's hard. Like honestly, it's really hard because like so we have like the of course on the Switch you have like ranked ladder and everything like that. But then we have like Pokemon Showdown, where that's much more optimal, like a better way, most people would say, to like actually get games in and like practice with it. And something I've realized is I don't hate Showdown, but I don't really like it. Like, and that sounds so weird because yeah, I'm still playing Pokemon, and like it's just like I enjoy like all the animations and everything going off, and like just watching that because I'm playing a game to enjoy it. But like you could probably ask some people, sometimes Showdown feels like another job.
Oh
And like
no.
that's so bad to say, but it's like you got to understand, like what the choices you're making in each turn, what the board state is like, what happens if you do this, what happens if your opponent's set up, what's going on, and everything like that. And then like if you lose a set, if you lose a close set, you're like, okay, if you just close the game off and go next, you're not really getting the most optimal practice. You need to go back and watch the replay, and you're like, oh, this 15 turn game, I actually lost at turn 7, but I didn't realize till turn 12. I need to fix that.
Yep.
So yeah, so it's just a lot of like positioning and like trying to review your gameplay and understand like where you made like micro mistakes. Because it's like yeah, you make a micro mistake, whatever, but like when you're playing on like super thin margins, especially at regionals, one micro mistake is literally the difference between you winning an entire set and like like not making it to the next day of competition, pretty much.
Yeah. That
Yeah, so
sounds
it's
very familiar.
yeah, dude, it's hard and like it's so weird because like I know like just to put funny examples or whatever with us, like I'm sure our parents are like, oh, you're just out, you're gaming, and I'm like, I wish I was just gaming. A lot of this is like requires more brain work than I'd like to admit. Like I enjoy the game, but like on a competitive level, it's different, you know?
Yeah. It
Very different.
absolutely. I tried to explain it to my dad recently. We went to Tipped Off in Georgia. It was a very big Smash major for Melee. Um, and when I went before I went there, I spent Father's Day with him, and I said, "Dad, I want you to watch a tournament with me, and if you can't watch the entire tournament, just watch like one set with me." And I showed him the match, and I was like explaining all of the little micro positionings and different strategies going on, all the mind games. And he was just like, "Yeah, I mean, this is definitely like it has all the mental gymnastics that a regular sport comes with." And I was like, "Cool. So watch a tournament with me." He's just like, "It's not the same." But it's
The
funny
case.
to bring it up because that is what it is. It's like it is a mental gymnastics sport. And I think that's true for VGC. I think it's true for Smash. And I think if we can do more content pieces or articles like what we're talking about right now, I think it would help people that don't play video games understand it more. And that would be really nice.
Absolutely. Like trying to explain like VGC to like someone that doesn't play or like friends that don't really play games. It's very hard because like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm going to Pokemon tournament. They're like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm going to play advanced level chess for like 9 hours, and it's like, huh? Like, no, I'm not kidding. Like it, you're like, yo, water beats fire, fire beats grass. I'm like, dude, there's so much more. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. It's really interesting, like trying to make like break down the game to be digestible and everything like that. I think that is pretty fun, and I think it does make people appreciate more of like, oh, this game has so much more depth than we or depth than we expected it to. And it's like, yeah, like they're not just clicking like two buttons and choosing what to do. Like, no, there's a lot of thought into it.
Yeah. There's foresight going on. There's preparation. There's so many pieces at play. I love the mental image of I already forgot it. You said you didn't say
Oh, shit.
multi-dimensional chess, but what was the describer, the
Oh
adjective?
no. I'm going to advanced level chess for like 9 hours.
Advanced level chess. It's so true. Uh and
And
for
then
9
even,
hours.
dude, it's because like regionals, it's just like you start at like, well, like 8:30 or something like that, and like you could say that roughly each round takes about an hour, give or take. You might finish your round early, you might finish your round late. It just depends on like who's playing stall or not, or like what kind of game are you playing? Like, are you playing a game of like, oh, it's a very positional heavy game where like both me and my opponent understand like we're trying to get the advantage in position in order to strike, take one of your pieces out, or am I just playing like a big damage splash game? Because the ladder's gonna go by faster, but like when two really good players are playing a positional warfare, it's like, okay, it's been 45 minutes and they finished game two, and it's like, oh my lord, like, please. So
do
it
you
gets really interesting.
do you guys have is it best of 3 at the beginning and it changes to best of 5, or is it always best of 5?
No, it's best of three.
Okay, it's
No,
best of 3. Okay.
yeah, ours is actually best of three. I think I remember like one of the casters talking about like there was a point where like it was best of five, and it's just like it's too much. Like it's actually too much. And I think it was a Sword and Shield Players Cup. I might be spreading misinformation. I'm not sure, but like this is just off of memory. I think there was a best of five with like a bracket reset or something, and it was just like this is horrible.
Oh
Like
my god.
it's actually too much. Like you're like, oh yeah, best of five would be like I get another chance to like see how they're adjusting. But like, dude, honestly, I think best of three is fine the way it is because like once you start trying to call leads of the leads of the leads, you're like, okay, we need to stop right now. Like it gets really bad.
Yeah, do you think this goes a little bit more into the competition aspect than I was thinking about, but like
Mhm.
you think it's totally fine to leave it be. There's probably enough mind games and enough cues, like visual cues or mm, habits. I think that's the best word I can think of. There are enough
Habits, yeah.
habits that you can latch on to in, like, say, game one, where you could make the adjustment and come back and win the set.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Game one is, it's game one and everything like that, but like you're also, if you're doing your homework with it, you're, taking note of like both their leads, what they have in the back, what they tend to do. Do they play riskier? Do they are a safe player? And things of the nature. Now, really good players know how to like adapt it like between like games, which is terrifying. I can't do that yet. But you'll it'll be the weirdest feeling is like you definitively win a game one like with like a clean like three whatever victory. You're like, yo, that was a really good game one. I got game two in the bag. Reverse sweep, because like the adjustments some people can make are like on demon time. Like you could sweep game one, barely get beat game two, and then get absolutely demolished game three, and you're like, what happened? Like it's very, and that's the fun of the game, because like it's never just, oh, this is like a completely one-sided game. Well, for the most part at least, unless like you just have a team diff for the most part. But like with a best of three is enough to make the adjustments and see the patterns of your opponent and everything like that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm always interested in like game feel and game speed. Maybe it comes down to how long those interactions take too, because I think in Melee there are not very many interactions. And this is a classic one. You know Melee Fox. You had the down B, you have the shine. You run off
Mhm.
stage and you hit somebody, and they could die at 0 if they're in a bad position.
Oh, oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
and so it can be really really divisive, and so people I think the reason we do game 5 for the most part, we will almost always take game 5 if we can, or best of 5, excuse me, uh because there are just really really divisive combos or strategies like that. But I think when I think about Pokemon, it really is about the setup, and it really is about noticing like the flags. So that's really cool to see the similarities and differences. Um, I saw you said that it won't be your last. So it won't be your last attempt at Worlds. You're trying again this coming year, right?
Okay, so that, oh boy, that's even more interesting. So no, and it's just it won't be my last. It's true because it's my first season, but I want to keep playing, and I'm gonna keep playing. And I don't want to sound like a doomer or whatever, but like there's a little bit of dooming to it. So let me explain. So with the point system from last year, to qualify for Worlds, there was like a point bar. So you hit 500 points and you get your Worlds invite. That's it, right? They had it apparently like years ago when I wasn't playing, where like it was like a top number of players only get Worlds invite, and that was it.
Mm.
So it's like top. I think in that one season they always reference it's like it was top 40 people got Worlds invites. So it's like going off of points. Like whoever has the highest 40 point count at the end of the season goes to Worlds.
Oh, geez.
Um, yeah. So like they're doing that again for this season. It's top 75. Yeah. And the reason like it's even crazier is because like let me see. They changed how the point payout works, and like okay, that's whatever, right? But like the way the points payout, it kind of it's very skewed towards like international championships. Like extremely skewed towards international championships. So I don't know if Smash has, well, you guys don't do point systems. So like there's this thing we have called like best finish limit, where like think of it as like when you're in a class and like you have your teacher's like, oh, we have 7 tests, but I dropped your lowest test. So only
O-
6 of them count.
Okay.
So it for like locals, for example, if you go to like 15 locals and you get points from all of them, only your best 6 performances count, right?
Okay.
So that being said, regionals and internets used to have different best finish limits and everything like that. Regionals used to have 6, and I think internets had like 2 or something like that. Yeah, it was 2 if I remember correctly for last season. This season, they both share their finish limit at 6, and you're like, okay, that's a little different. The reason that's crazy is because the internets are in North America, Latin America, and in Europe.
What?
Yeah, so like I mean they're really cool locations and everything like that. But it's like with the way they buff the points, the consensus is like unless you win a regional, which you get invites from like either winning regionals or top fouring an international championship. If you don't win a regional or you're not like consistently performing, and you don't go to all the internet, you're probably not gonna make it for top 75. Because like if someone goes to all three, and I'm trying to pull up the point. Okay, let me just put it like this. Um, yeah, I'll just go from like the top, second place or whatever. If you get second place at a regional, you get 325 points. Okay. For an internet, you get top 32. You get the same. You get 350. Just to like, and I mean, don't get me wrong. An internet is way harder, but like the scaling gets crazy. Like at an internet, second place gets 700.
That seems
So
insane.
yeah, the scaling for the points is like it's huge. Like it's massive and everything. So it's like it really puts emphasis on like you need to go to these ICs, and if you don't, you're probably not making top 75. That's kind of where the issue comes in because like if someone makes it to like only one of them, and everyone else makes it to like all three, and they do well, you're probably cooked. To be honest, that's where the hard part comes in. So you have to win a regional, or like you have to have like extremely consistent results, which that isn't a bad thing. It's just everyone kind of agrees like the way they're doing it is kind of strange with that. We all agree that like the world championship is the most prestigious, like the highest level of tournament. So like if they only want their best players, like the best of the best of the best, that's fine. I get that. It's just how they did it. I feel it could be better, but they're the one running the circuit, so we just kind of run with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I think I want to tangent there. But that being said, so yeah, I'm gonna be playing next season. But to get top 75, I would have to make it to Europe, Latin America, ours, perform well at all three of them, and then do regionals on top of that, which is not impossible. I don't want to say it like that. That's definitely not impossible, but it's like kind of going back to like the whole practice thing. And like with the job I work, I know like how I feel after work, after like the 11-hour shifts and everything like that. And I'm just like, I, I don't feel like playing deep gameplay, and that's kind of where my struggle's been recently. Um,
Yeah.
I know I need to put in more time. I need to put in more like more calculated time and better effort towards understanding mistakes I make and playing teams that make sense in the meta and everything like that. But it's like finding the time is the hard part.
That is so interesting. I have a different word than interesting, but it's just
Mhm. You're good.
that is so commendable because I have the same issue. That's why I put dedication and focus on here as one of our talking points.
Mhm.
I come home from I will not front. I have a very cushy job. I work
Ain't nothing
at a
wrong with that.
I work at a computer. I only go into an office one day a week, and then the rest of the time I work from home. And
Mhm.
most of the time it is just talking to people. That's my job, is just talking to people.
Mhm.
And even still, I get done with my job and I'm like, I don't want to grind melee. I don't want to sit here and practice L canceling and multi
Mhm.
shines and
Mhm.
practice on a dummy for like an hour a day like I should. That will actually level me up. But you that is so cool. Uh because I don't know, it really inspires me because now I want to do it more. Even though your opinion of it is that I don't want to do it, it doesn't mean that you're not doing it. Your definitive statement was, I'm still going to do it. It just makes me like you're tired. You're a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And I mean,
totally
don't get
get
me
it.
wrong. There's still more nights than none where I'm like, okay, I need to fall asleep. Like just you know, you get home, you're like, okay, let's play a game. Plays one or like doesn't play any. And I'm like, I'm just tired. Like we're human, dude. And like even you saying like you have a cushy job, you're still working. Like you're talking to the public. That alone is draining. Like so before I don't, yeah, your job may be like in comparison to other people's and everything. Yeah, like you may be relaxing, but you're still human and you're still like being drained from going to work as an adult because that's what we got to do. So then we have to like we look at a game that we love and we're like, okay, we got to practice to like level up, and it kind of it just becomes like a work cycle. And then once that your hobby kind of feels like a second job, that's where the issue kind of comes in. And it's like, oh boy, because then you don't feel like doing it all the time, you know?
Yeah, that's why it's important. I don't remember who it was that post was on. It
Mhm.
was a Twitter post. I wonder if I can find it. But they were talking about how do you stay motivated to um, keep playing or to like
I know what
what?
you're talking about.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. I actually had 99%. I think you were talking about my friend Will, like the homie Will, where he was like, "How do you guys like keep playing?" Oh my gosh, what's his? Finding the Twitter handle is the fun part
Uh,
though.
Cruise Corp
Oh yeah, the homie
to
Cruz.
Cruise.
Oh yeah, Cruz. I think it was in connection to Will's like tweet, if I remember correctly.
There
It
we
was like,
go.
"How do you stay dedicated and everything?"
Yeah, competitive gamers. How do you? I can zoom that in actually. Competitive
Ah, no,
gamers.
I'm thinking two different ones. Okay, yeah.
How do you keep the game fun for you is the
Mhm.
question. Um,
Yeah.
this is so recent for me because I've always tried to have this mentality,
Mhm.
but I used to not take stress relievers. I take stress relievers now. I take like theanine, magnesium, and ashwagandha, and all of that helps me like decompress a little bit more and not like freak out.
Mhm.
Whereas normally, like I'm a rager. I am a rager.
Mhm.
uh, so I this is completely a take I've had for years, but I've never been able to implement it until now. If you play to learn instead of play to win, it
Yeah.
becomes a lot easier to manage. But even then, like you said, it's like mind games and making sure that you practice. And it is still a second job. Just because you're playing to learn doesn't make it any less time consuming and any less stressful on the
Mhm.
mentality.
Mhm.
Oh, got that wrong. There we go. Yeah. So I just thought I would bring that up because it reminded me a lot of it. Because we're all people, dude. We're all humans. We all just
Yeah.
we want to do what makes us happy, but sometimes like the reality of the world we live in currently is like you have to do the thing that makes your bread, and then also you have the thing that makes you happy, and sometimes they're not always the same thing, which is
Yeah.
annoying, unfortunate, but yeah.
Then you got to make sure that you don't do too much of one and not the other, because it's like, yeah, you're making the bread and you're providing for yourself, but like, and this is one thing that I both pride myself in and hate to admit at the same time, but like, if you've ever heard of the term revenge, sleep time, procrastination, that is like my favorite term of all time. Because
I
like,
don't know this.
so it's pretty much like people will like, which is just a standard gamer. People will stay up later to like do stuff they want to do after work instead of just like going and prepping for the next day. Because it's like I don't feel like if I go to work for 11 hours, I come home, eat dinner, and then like not do anything or just go rest the next day. I don't think I'm living. It doesn't feel like it at all. Like, it
Yeah.
just feels monotonous at that point. So like I will stay up later just to like even if I'm not like hardcore gaming or like learning anything, just to like, hop on a Discord call, talk to my roommates, or just like hang out and stuff like that. Just to feel like at least I'm having some kind of social interaction. Or, just getting out of the cycle of just work, rest, work, eat, exercise, XYZ, because like once you fall into that, it's just I'm I don't really feel like it's living. Like you're just kind of functioning at that point.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. Um,
Mhm.
I sorry to keep bringing anecdotes into it. It's just how I process everything.
Mhm.
That reminds me of a book. I still haven't finished it, and I really want to, but I lost it. I've bought this book twice and lost it both times. It's called Pollyanna. Uh, Living quote. Um, there it is. I can put that up on screen.
All
It is
living.
that one. Pollyanna. Uh, So it's a book about a child whose mother, I think, passed away, and now she lives with her aunt. Um, and so her aunt's getting on to her, telling her it's time to do chores. It's time to like buck up, and you got to take care of yourself. And
Mm.
Polly is saying, of course, I'd be breathing all the time I was doing these things being chores, Aunt Polly, but I wouldn't be living. You breathe all the time you're asleep, but you aren't living during that time. And this is one of the most powerful quotes I've ever read in a children's book. And that's what you make me think of. It's true. You are not. You are not just your job. You're not just the things that you do to make it so that you can survive. Surviving isn't living.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like again, kind of like referencing back to the pandemic, I feel like a lot of us were put in like survival mode for a couple of years, and it's like trying to, I guess, reawaken from that also is not always the easiest because like, stuff is expensive these days too. Like really expensive.
Yeah. Inflation's been stupid.
And it's been very dumb, yes. Like it's insane.
Yeah. Do you have any competitions you're looking forward to right now? Like
Oh, like
coming up in the
for the
future?
next season?
Yeah.
Well, the North American one is coming up for next. Like that's really far up, but it's like next year, next summer, and it's in New Orleans again. Which
Oh, sweet.
that's where I was, born in Louisiana, so it's pretty hype. Um, Other than that, they have some. I think there's a local like not next weekend, but I think the weekend after that, like in 2 Saturdays from now, that I'm looking forward to. I have not been practicing the way I should be at least. So like I've played some games and everything, but like I have not been like deep rooted in like I need to find like everything. I've been learning some stuff like on and off about the game, and that's been kind of fun. Um, but I have not been like on the grind for it. And I think that's kind of a byproduct of just the fact that I know I'm not going to Worlds this year because that's kind of like the major thing everyone's getting ready for next. And I'm like, I mean, if my friends need help prepping, that's what I'll do. But outside of that, I'm kind of just like, yeah. And honestly, I think we're gonna get a format change pretty soon. Oh my gosh. That's another thing. I don't know if I touched on that about like VGC's rule set, the way how often it changes with this season. Oh my lord.
Does it change year to year? It's like it
It's
changes
even more.
it changes more?
Yeah, so here's the funny thing. I think with Sword and Shield, well, no, I could be wrong on that. But like I think in previous years, maybe before Sword and Shield, the formats wouldn't change as fast as they do now, but like these formats, we have been through series 1 and 2. Then they went from naming them by number to letter. So it went from like series 1, 2, then C, D, E, F. We're in Reg G right now. We're on format number 7.
Oh my god.
And yeah, and the competitive, it started like when Scarlet and Violet came out, basically. So like within the last like year and a couple months, it's rotated like that many times. And it's kind of like, oh my goodness. Um, Mind you, sometimes the format updating the rule set, all they do is add Pokemon. They've only banned stuff like once, and that was like during COVID, so I don't know if it was official or whatever, kind of. But sometimes it'll be as simple as like from like Reg B to Reg C, they only added 4 Pokemon, but those 4 Pokemon like warped the entire meta.
Yeah.
Um, so that was fun. And then you have stuff like Reg D, where it's like, oh, you could bring in Pokemon from like Legends Arceus and like other games and stuff like that. And now it's like, okay, now we're really expanding because Urshifu's back, and it doesn't respect the rules of the game. So yeah, like when your whole ability is punching through Protect, you're like, oh, okay, that's about fair and balanced, I guess. But like it's just they the rule sets have been rotating really fast, and the one we're in right now is like you're allowed one legendary, bro. I've never played in a restricted format. The power level, insane. Like you would think, oh, it's only one really strong Pokemon. Oh my lord, there's a reason box legendaries are box legendaries. I'm telling you right now.
There's a
Like,
reason for it.
yeah, there's a very strong reason for it. But yeah, we rotate rules. We've been rotating rules quite a bit, and I'm pretty sure that after Worlds, again, don't quote me on it, but if I had to put a good guess on it, we're probably gonna get a rule set change like beginning of September, and that's gonna go to double restricted, and it's like, oh boy, now the real fun starts. Okay.
Do they do that just to keep the game fresh, or what do you?
I think so. That's what I think is the reason, like, is to keep the game fresh. But like, man, sometimes staying in a format's okay, but like, because I think we had like Reg F for like quite a few months before it switched to Reg G. Yeah, like Reg F went from like, was it January all the way to like the beginning of May. So like a good like 4 or 5 months. That was probably one of the longer formats we had, to be honest. Um, sorry, I just thought about it. We were at a regional in December for like San Antonio, and we were on like rule set E, me and my friends, right? And like they they'll drop the rules like at the beginning of the month, like the format will start, right? But when they tell us what the rule set's gonna be, it updates in Pokemon Showdown because Showdown isn't like official or anything like that. So we were at a regional for rule set E. We're like, okay, we're gonna play in rule set E, the last regional, like tomorrow, right? So we're like finishing the preparation and everything. And while we're doing that, they're like, hey guys, Reg F rules just dropped, and now the Showdown ladder's live. So we're like, oh, we're already behind. Cool, good to know. It was so funny.
No.
I was like, we're taking this weekend to play at a regional from the format that's already outdated, apparently. Like, oh my goodness. And people are already cooking for the new one. Like, this game moves fast.
That's so messed up. That sounds awful too because you don't get to. They don't tell you when the thing is gonna drop. They just drop it, right?
Nintendo, TPCI, you know how they work. But yeah, I mean, they'll drop the
Oh,
information. It's like, okay, there we go. Like, congratulations, we know what's happening now.
I would lose my mind.
I mean, nothing was worse than Well, not necessarily nothing was worse, but like we had like one of the regulations after the international, not from this year but last year, because like NAIC is the last big major tournament normally, and then Worlds. They changed the format between that last tournament and Worlds. So like people that were playing in like the last major international were like, oh, we're on regulation C. And then it switched over to John. They were like, hey guys, there are no more majors until Worlds, but Worlds is a new format. And we were like, what? So I enjoyed watching Worlds last year, but I'm sure prepping for it was like a pain in the butt. Oh my goodness.
Dude, that doesn't make any sense. Uh...
You said it, not me. You said it, not me. Look, yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
That's the reason it's a competition is because there are set constants in place. Not everything needs to be a variable.
Oh, you haven't played Pokemon VGC. We have variables already. Oh boy. Oh brother.
I guess that is the give and take, the push and pull, the difference of we are like Melee is like strictly grassroots scene. We have tried to work with them before, and then they kind of are like, hey, but you can't do this, and then we're like, okay, I guess
Thanks.
we will not work with you anymore.
Yeah, it's like thanks guys, appreciate that. It's like
Thank
all
you. Yeah, it's really really frustrating when it would be like if we got like character patches. It's one of the good things about having a GameCube game be the game that you play. There are no patches.
They can't mess
Man.
that one up. Yeah, that's fair.
Yep. So we're coming close to the hour. I did want to bring up this one thing. So you'd said that when you do majors and not just the locals, but the majors and regionals especially, they make it kind of like a friend reunion. There's like a quote from the Smash scene from one of the people. We had like a documentary or something. I don't want to go into it too much, but basically it's saying like it isn't about learning matchups and competing in tournaments. It's about turning up at a venue with the game that you all love and care about and playing it in a really cool way, making it into an art form. What do you think about that for VGC? Do you think that's true too?
I think that's very true. Yeah, like it's of course you wanna play to make it to day two, then top eight, then win the regional ideally. But like the once you not get past that, but like on top of that, like it's about coming together as a community, like playing the game we do love, and like you get to meeting new people, making the connections and everything like that. Like I very much agree with that quote because like it went from like I go to one regional, I'm like, okay, I know like one or two people here, and then like the more regionals, I'm like, I'm starting to say hi to a lot of people. What is going on? Like, I'm starting to miss all y'all. Like, hold on a second, like I can't keep up at this point. Like, and oh my god, the worst part, and this is so random, but like because we work in game, we work in game settings or whatever, we know like people's real name and gamer tag, but some people you only know their gamer tag. So it's like there are people that I'm like I'd love to see them at events and stuff like that, but I only know them by their gamer tag. And at this point, it's too late. I can't ask for your first name. It's too late. Like it's just I have to come. I have to hope someone calls your name from across the venue and I catch it. Because if not, That's just how it goes.
You're just this. You're your gamer tag forever to me. Yeah.
And for me, that's fine because like people can't say my. You already know. You look, we went to high school together. You already know teachers can't say my first name, so that's whatever. But
uh, I don't know if I ever conveyed or not conveyed. Told you that, but I would get so frustrated. And it's like it's not that hard. It's not that he even pronounces it phonetically. It's not hard to mimic sounds. We do this. You do this for a living. You're teachers.
English teachers too, for that matter. We're not to shooting shots specifically. We just in general. That's funny, but like. I felt so bad for substitutes back in the day. They'd be like the face they would make when they got to my name. I was like, oh, here we go. I'm just like, I'm right here. Hi.
You'd see their face turn as they try to like think about how they're gonna pronounce it, and it's like, nope, it's me.
Their face would like they would be like looking at it or whatever, and their face would like contort. They'd be like yeah, that's it. There we go.
Oh, there's the habit. I caught it there. Yep.
Gotcha. There it is. Cool.
Yep.
But yeah, no, like that's what these tournaments are about. On top of like playing a game you love, like making the connections and seeing the friends and everything. It's pretty awesome and turning up.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Turning up, doing cool stuff, and hanging out with friends. I think that's what I want to start using social media for too. A lot of times it's just a scroll machine, and then I'm the most doomer when I get on that soapbox.
Man. Dude, I think I had to not fully get off because I'm kind of watching stuff again, but like I had to limit how much I was getting on stuff like TikTok, for example. Because I think like a few years ago, like I wasn't like super doom scrolling, but like the TikTok algorithm's a little too strong sometimes. So like you find the good sides, you're like, yeah, just this is great, like infinite dopamine that burns you out. But then you also find the bad side, you're just like, oh no, like this social media, it can be draining for that reason. So yeah, you have to kind of catch yourselves with it.
Yeah. We're not really like program's a dumb word, but like we are not evolutionarily like ready to consume that much information in a day, like regardless of whether it is dopamine or makes us sad, but like we're not made to do that. We've only had social media in this form or fashion for around a decade.
Yeah, we already see like the effect it's had on society too, and it's just like, how's it gonna evolve over time? It's kind of it's interesting,
Yeah, I really don't want to see more of it. I don't know. I really hope that it gets cut down on somehow. I don't know how we would do it, but I hope we do.
No idea. I have no idea how we do it, and then not to mention like AI with what it's doing, dude. Like the memes, fantastic. The memes are really funny. They're great. Unfortunately, once we started getting video stuff to start like generating, I was like, okay, hold on, like guys, like we're getting a little bit too far. Like it's getting actually really scary.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It's even to the point where like I really hope that there is some kind of ruling that happens so we can set a precedent of like this cannot be, if we can deem a video as being AI generative, we can't use it in court for like evidence because that's not. Yeah, like I think to me the most practical application would be like you make a model of something using generative AI, and then you can use that to like be like, oh, and then they were here, and then we can say that they ran this way or something, and you use that as evidence for something. But
that's genuinely terrible. Like in court of law, it's like, oh yeah, my alibi. It's like, actually we saw you right here on this camera, and it's like, that's not possible. It's like, yeah, no, it's right there. It's like,
it's like, well, that's not actually me. And it's just like, well,
AI.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, it's video evidence, so like, what are you gonna do? And yeah,
it's AI video evidence. I wasn't there. Like, what the heck? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really scary. Something less scary. Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, let's talk about Kingdom Hearts. What's going on with Missing Link? Have you heard anything about Missing Link?
Bro, I look, the way I've been keeping with Kingdom Hearts recently is I haven't. That's the problem. Like, let me ask your opinion, because I know like this goes back to high school again. Like the way me, you, and like a group of people will talk about Kingdom Hearts, especially with that one like group you had on social media, was like fantastic. Like, bro, I think I've seen posts from like 13 years ago, and I'm like, bro, I was so wrong about like what's it called, like Xehanort's vessel or something. Like, I just didn't know. It was so great. But like, have you been? Okay, my first question is, what was your opinion on Kingdom Hearts 3? Because like, I have feelings about that game.
I do too. I usually like to have other people give their opinions first, but I guess it would actually be better. I guess it would be better because mine would be like kind of dissenting towards it because like I don't. I think there are a lot of good gameplay mechanics that they introduced,
Agreed.
and I think there's a lot of potential in the game's systems.
Mhm.
But I thought that the story progression as well as the ending was hot garbage.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you
Yeah,
think so
no,
too?
I'm in the same, like, literally, like, especially after they added the DLC, I was like, okay, the combat's fun. Like, the combat in the base game was like, okay, like everything's an AoE nuke, whatever. That's kind of fun. Like, it's chill. That's fine, right? But like, I could have said the combat was like passable, like slash okay, it's fun or whatever, right? I wish like some of the keyblades weren't like copy paste of each other. That kind of sucked because like I love the keyblade mechanics of like, oh, the transformations were super cool. But then once you realize that like, and I don't know how many keyblades there were. So, but like you could see like there was like groupings of like this keyblade does the same thing in terms of like the claws or like how it functions with versus this other keyblade. I'm like, okay, there's no difference for the most part of why I would use keyblade A versus keyblade B. But then you have the really cool ones like I think the ice skating one was like a unique one. Like that wasn't copied from anybody else. I believe the yo-yos were unique. Um, but like there were some other ones where like I think of the claws and I think there was another similarity to that one. But like you kind of get where I'm going to. Like some of them were just like the same. If all of them were unique, that would add like another point or two, gameplay wise, bro. But the story, look, if everything else was the same and the story was better, I'd be fine with Kingdom Hearts 3 because like we waited for that long for the story to deliver and it didn't. Mind you, Zigbar, that was crazy. That was insane.
I've been saying Nomura is great at writing cliffhangers, but he is terrible.
Deliver on them.
He doesn't deliver on them. He's terrible
my
at
God.
writing the punctuation at the end.
Bro said, "What's in the black box?" Oh, we don't know. We've been waiting how many years? Nah, bro. That had me really angry. The fact that Sora, well, spoilers, but if you haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm sorry. Why you, whatever.
Spoilers.
The fact that Sora's dead again pisses me off, like to no degree. And then like I thought the DLC would fix that. It made me even angrier because like no offense, Sora died saving his girl, cool, but it's the way he died. And they're like, yeah, the power of waking.
Yeah.
Yes, he abused the heck out of the power of waking, but like, bro didn't even die in combat. They just said, up, time's up, and I was like, bro, come on now, like, I don't
Yeah.
know. That left a bad taste in my mouth. I think and I'm gonna bet you probably agree with this one. The ending of the base game was great until the last 2 seconds. It felt fine, and then that happened, and I was like, seriously.
It's really about all right, this is now a little series I like to call design like this is what we're doing now. I like to separate things into like context, creativity, and consistency. And so in the context of why he felt like he needed to die, that actually does fit his character very well. He would absolutely sacrifice himself for Kyrie.
No, 1000%. I agree with that. I just don't like the way it was displayed in the last 3 seconds of the game.
Yeah.
At all.
It was very. I want to say it was very like sequel baity. Like it only exists to prolong like what happens next sort of mentality that Kingdom Hearts continues to have.
Yeah, I thought it was it was like, I don't want to say it was tacky, but it is sequel baity. Like I feel like, and this is again just me talking off a personal opinion, of course. You know, people could take it with a grain of salt or whatever. But like, if you were gonna tell me that Sora died after the final battle, I don't want you to pump fake me thinking that he gets his happy ending. I don't want that. I didn't want him to be sitting like yes, and then him disappear, and I was like, what? Like he got Thanos. Like no, forget that. if you're gonna tell me that he died after the final battle, sacrificing for his friend and his girl, which is indeed correct, very, very much in Sora's character. He fights for his friends. That's what he would do. That's fair. But like, could we have like shown it off as like them being sad about him like having to die instead of like everyone frolicking around like we all got a happy ending? Because like I feel like the presentation was kind of bad. But that I'm not a game developer. I don't write stories, so what can I really say? This is just my opinion again,
Yeah, that's something I really strive to dispel. Like, I don't think anyone can be a writer, but it's kind of the Ratatouille thing where it's like a good
Anyone
cook.
can cook.
Yeah, it's not that, and that's what they say at the end of the movie. That's spoilers too. Not everyone can cook, but a great chef can come from anywhere. And so that means like even if you're not good at it, you can become good at it. So that all to say, we are all human. We can observe these things. We have working minds that can dissect puzzles and take abstract literature and make them into processable nutrients for our brain. So like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that like the signs of Sora wanting to give himself up really they're like they're very, very mute and hushed tones throughout the story. It's a very small point of Sora's arc, but it is there. You can look at it and see very descriptive points in his journey where he is thinking more about like, okay, well, I have to be the one to do this, and what does love mean?
I mean, dude, Kingdom Hearts 1, he literally goes. So I mean, yeah, that's fair. We've been seeing it since day one.
It's the day one. It is. The issue is how you match it up, like you said, with the ending. There needs to be like a little bit more
context.
Yeah. There needs to be a little bit more context, and there needs to be a little bit more like respect from the other characters, like you said.
Yeah.
And we get that to his credit a little bit in
Remind, right?
in Remind, yeah. But it's still not like a ton. It's more like we've skipped. It's like a year forward. It's a time skip. And we see them like they're done mourning over it. Basically, they're like, "How do we get him back?" Yeah, and it's just like you didn't let them mourn. It's so frustrating. Yeah. They don't treat the characters like characters. They treat the characters like plot devices. And it used to just be Roxas and Kairi, and then Xion at one point, and then they just kept adding on and on and on. And now it's Sora too. Sora is a plot device.
Yeah,
it's very frustrating.
No, the way they treated Roxas in 3 was definitely a plot device. But was it a plot device I was okay with? Yes, because that entrance was bro. Like, that's why I have to give it like for those aspects of the story. But then again, that might have just been fan service. I don't know, but like the Sea Salt Gang reunion and the Wayfinder reunion, actually, like I think the Wayfinder one might have brought tears to my eyes. I'm not gonna lie, because like that was touching. Like I think I get goosebumps thinking about it, to be honest. But like, and again, those could have just been because they're fan service moments, and I've been waiting for that to happen since what 2011.
Yeah.
But shout out to you, because you were the one that I don't know if you remember, but you're the one that let me borrow your PSP back in high school. That's the only reason I was able to play Birth by Sleep back in the day.
No way, really? Oh shit!
Remember that, bro? Oh my gosh! It was either your PSP or the actual game itself. But I didn't forget about that. I appreciate it, man. Like,
yeah, of course.
I played the heck out of that game. Like, good.
It's fun. Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah. It's actually definitely one that I want to. I had an entire idea for a design like where like the game could have been remade in such a different way if it's all about dev time. It's all about dev time and then preparation. It's the same thing that we talk about for like VGC and Melee. It's like if you could just like look at it and go, what could this be in the future, instead of like, okay, this is corporate. We have to get this game out. People have been waiting years. It's like, we've been waiting so long. Keep it for a little longer. Don't have Remind. Tack Remind on as like some kind of epilogue, and then use the features from Remind my real shit is single player. You start as Sora, and then like you branch out to the different Disney worlds, and like you unlock new characters to play as.
Ooh.
Like
Kind of
wouldn't it would hit so hard because here's where we come off of. If you played what was the one, but if you played Dream Drop, the entire deal is Xehanort's just like my forces versus your forces, meet us at the Keyblade graveyard, which is what happens at the end of 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
But imagine how good it would feel to have the progress of you go to each world, you find like some kind of puzzle piece key and go, this is how we're gonna save Xion, or this is how we're gonna save Aqua.
Yeah, instead of just like, dude, I would have loved to like imagine saving Aqua like earlier and getting to like play as her. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
Would have been really good. Like, and no, I'm glad you mentioned the whole like tacking Remind on, because like as much as Remind was just you playing through the final sequence again, I do very much think that as much as I did not like how they did Sora in the last 3 seconds, if I could have immediately played Remind and seen what happened, it would have been better received. 100%.
It would have
Like
been.
the taste in my mouth would have been like, it would have been bitter, but it would have been more bittersweet instead of just like straight bitter.
Yeah.
100%.
It's a little bit similar to Chain of Memories. Like if you played Chain of Memories and then you don't know what the hell's going on with Riku, and then a year later they release, hey look, here's Reverse Rebirth with you can play as Riku. Everyone would lose their mind and be like, this should have been included in the base game, and then it
Oh
actually was.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. The way you said that, it took me a second. The thought of playing, because Chain of Memories is the first one I played actually,
Okay.
like in middle school. The thought of playing Chain of Memories without Reverse Remind, oh my god, that'd be so bad.
It would be
Because you'd
so
like, what's happening
bad.
with Riku? Like, why is Riku acting up? It's like, oh, that's not Riku. Oh, you took a year to tell me that. Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
Exactly. And it's the same
That's
type shit. It's how the industry is changing, and I don't think
yeah.
no one likes it.
Dude, no one likes it, and that's a whole nother discussion that I'll keep really short or whatever. Because it's like that partially, I think I've had this conversation with my roommates, I'm pretty sure, but like that's kind of just going on to like how gaming is made now, because I think how they put it, like, back in the day, probably like before like 2000 and whatever, 2010 or something like that, probably close to 2006. I want to say like before like the consoles, we got to hit like the Wii and the Xbox 360 and stuff. Um, Gaming was like more like a project passion and stuff like that and everything like before corporations really hit it as like, oh, we can make a lot of money from this. So like you could see where the shift came in with like a lot of like live service games and everything like that. Like we all hate them, or we not only then I hate them. They're not our favorite games and everything. But like from a corporate model, they generate a lot of revenue over a long period of time. Like, yeah, you made your game like perfect and like it's 10 out of 10, and like it sold like a bajillion copies, on release day. But like this random like pay for service game that was only up for like a couple months or a couple years, that the company put like half their effort into, or maybe like 25% of their effort into, made more. And it's just like, of course they're gonna look from a business standpoint like, well, clearly this is the better way to go. And it's like, well, money wise, yeah, but not for like gaming and passion and stuff like that. But they're companies. They care about the bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
their job.
Yep. I really want us to get away from that, and I don't know.
I don't know if we can.
I don't know how we do it other than like you'd have to convince other gamers, and I don't know how to do that.
We'd have to convince the large majority, hey, don't buy these games when they come out, and like that's not gonna happen. Because it's like yeah, that's real easy. Like here, great example, right? It's like, hey, someone comes to me, don't buy the new Call of Duty. Okay, sure. Hey, don't buy the new Street Fighter. Okay, I don't play those games. Someone comes up to me and goes, hey, don't buy Sparking Zero when it comes out. I'm looking at them like they're crazy. Because I'm buying that day -3 since it comes out early for pre-orders. For the record. That's also the weekend of a regional. But yeah, so like it's kind of hard to say that when like, it's a game that the gamer really likes. Like, hey, this game's coming, and it's like, well, that's like telling me don't buy a Pokemon game on release day, and I'm like, I don't know about that one, big dog. Like,
I think it's really difficult to convince anyone of any one project if it's from a series that they like. Definitely, if it's a franchise they like, it'll be difficult.
Agreed.
All right, my dude. I think we're at time. Is there any other last shout outs you wanna say, or any last topics you have in the tank?
Not much. I guess the only two things I'll like leave with is just like, even though we say like these games do become like kind of like work centered or work alike, just remember, try to remind yourself, the reason that you play the game, and if you need to take breaks, please take breaks, because like at the end of the day, we are playing these to enjoy ourselves, and we do want to improve. But like, if you're not having fun with it, do something else for the time being. It's been helping me a lot in like my VGC like kind of pursuit. I'm again in a weird limbo at the moment. I still love the game and I still like enjoy playing it. It's just I needed this break right now and it's been feeling really good and everything. Um, and I guess the second thing is just shout out to like both all the friends I've made in the past like year and everything like that, like VGC wise, they know a lot of who they are because I talk to a lot of them like on the daily or like pretty consistently, and not just that, like all the friends I've made in general. So like just shout out to them.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. Thank you so much for being on Spiels and Feels with me, everybody. Oh,
Thanks
where
for
where
having me.
where can they follow you?
Oh, the Twitter, my name my tag is at ZeroBlaze underscore. Just look for the guy tweeting way too much about Pokemon. And then my Twitch, I think it's like ZeroBlaze VGC. There might be an underscore somewhere in that, but I suddenly can't remember. So let me just fix that real quick. Oh no, that's not it. No, that's my old one. Oh no. Yeah, it's zero underscore Blaze VGC for Twitch. I'm
Zero_Blaze.
trying to stream more, but that I've been saying that for like a while. So like once we get off this break, we'll probably get back to it some more. And yeah.
Awesome. All right. We will see you all later, everybody. Bye bye. See you.
Bye.